This is my time of the
So I have a feeling that I screwed up the stream somehow because
Did I screw it up?
no, I think it was me. I don't know. It's been a day of technical issues.
Because
Hi
I
everyone.
expected this. I don't know, it's going.
This is the patron hangout discussion of the train job,
Mhm.
and it looks like the group's going to be both itty and bitty today. So that's okay. Tom, welcome. Sara, Sir
Hi
Jackalus.
there.
Um, with I think we can stick with the roundtable discussion again. And I mean, given it's a tiny group, we'll just say what there is to say about the train job, and I'll go eat dinner, which I accidentally ordered for
Get the
a
hell
half
out
hour
of
from
here.
now instead of for 9 o'clock. It's been one of those days.
It has.
We could watch the pre-edit of The Body
No,
if
let
we
us be
wanted to.
surprised.
Actually, no.
You want to see the?
I don't, and I
I'm
don't want to
gonna,
watch that on camera.
even though
Yeah, we
I
probably
know
don't
I
wanna,
don't have any kind of executive powers here, I'm going to veto that because no, you're not.
I don't want the world to see me ugly cry like that.
And just no, just no, Ian.
You guys have veto powers in my heart,
Oh,
so
God.
of course. Well, I'm just throwing things out.
Or if you do it, I'll tell Lonnie, and Lonnie will come in and kick your ass. So.
So what's my deterrent?
I'm not touching that. No.
Time
All
for her
right,
to
so
take
moving
your
on.
bucket away now that it is a joint custody
Oh,
bucket.
yeah, exactly. I don't know if you saw my participant name in the chat, but I thought it was apt. Anyway, so we're talking about the train job. After I think there's a certain amount of hey Captain Wesker, hey Russell. Yeah, small group
Hey,
today. So probably be on the shorter time. But I think there was a certain amount of like I mean, I don't want to get into it, but with Whedon properties early on, and Firefly was ambitious and fell short in certain ways. Like Lonnie calls it, sort of getting the venom out early on, and then you just kind of enjoy the whole thing. And I think a big part of the discussion that we had the last time was kind of acknowledging, like, things age, and or there were problems at the time itself. So I'm definitely looking forward to. But there's a reason we're here, and there's a thing like I love this show, and I love it the more I watch it. And no episode has improved on rewatches for me as much as Serenity has. Jack, can you? We were talking a little bit during the rewatch, but I wanted to ask you sort of. You bounced off the show a couple of times, and you've watched Serenity a couple of times, and you weren't at the last discussion. So I just wanted to get your impressions of the pilot, and like I said, I want your unvarnished opinions here. Tell it like it is.
I'll shoot it straight.
Yeah,
it is good, but I don't feel like it needs to be 90 minutes. For me, so I have seen that pilot a couple of times, but it's been so long that it was like seeing it again for the first time. And my first impression was everything up to them getting on to the ship doesn't have to be there. All that stuff could have been done in other ways in other episodes or done in flashbacks, like the opening scene with the war. I just feel like not a lot happens until they get on the ship, and that's when I started to really have a good time with it. But in saying that, it's not that any of it was bad. It just felt like it didn't add.
it's a slow burn.
Yeah, slow burn, and it didn't feel that additive, even though I know it technically is because it's a pilot. So I don't know.
And why would you say you bounced off the show? You watched the pilot, especially being a member of this community and a fan of
people have been
Whedon properties.
And then I get asked like weekly if I've seen it, and like, Jackie, you're gonna watch it? Yes, I'm gonna watch it. It's on my list. I will, blah blah blah, and then I never do. Honestly, it's just that pilot is hard to get through when you don't have much context. Like, I'm sure being a fan,
context makes a big difference.
Much easier to watch, but it's just such an effort to get through it because it is so long, and as you said, it's a slow burn, and just not a lot really happens until they get on the ship. But I think that opening scene is very, very well shot. It's very pretty, and it's a good establishing sequence, I guess. Yeah,
Where's my jetpack says it feels like you have to already be invested a little bit.
yeah, and
Yeah, I think that's an interesting thing.
and the truth is, I just wasn't too. Like, I just also for me, sci-fi is a very hard sell for me. It just is. I'm very, very fussy when it comes to sci-fi. Very, very fussy. And that was a thing that also not put me off, but made me a little more like, oh, I'd rather watch something else that I know I'm actually going to get into. Oh, someone's
It's interesting. Space Western
Josh is here.
Space Western is a pretty. I mean, Star Trek. We took the last show, Star Trek. Hi, Josh.
Hey, Josh. Your audio.
You're muted, buddy.
You're muted, kid.
Or your input's wrong. Yeah, you were muted.
Can you hear me now?
I can. Hi.
Hey, buddy.
Okay, so 2 episodes in now, Jack, and this is going to be a standard part of the discussion, I think, because you're the. Oh, by the way,
I'm the guinea pig.
since Jack is here, no spoilers.
Yeah, please don't.
We are talking up to the end of the train job and nothing else.
I'm already spoiled.
Because Jack's never seen the series.
I'm spoiled on quite a few things. You know, I'm like a leaf on the wind, which I really wish I didn't know that was coming. But yeah, sorry, Ian. What was the question? What?
Well, so 2 episodes in now. Who's your favorite character so far?
Haley, because I'm I like sweethearts, man. I can't help it. She's like a friend to me. But I love Book.
Is Willow your favorite character on Buffy?
No, my favorite like Buffy character is Spike for lots of various reasons.
If we're talking the sweetheart prototype across the board, she's definitely a sweetheart of that show.
Sure, yeah, no, but I mean, Spike's just I relate to Spike on a personal level that I don't with Willow, essentially. Yeah, but yeah, sorry, I got lost. What?
No, you're all good. Tom.
Yes.
Second episode. Second pilot. Do you how do you feel about, is there an argument to be made that the train job is a better pilot than Serenity?
There is. I don't agree with it. I think Serenity is a better introduction.
Where do you fall
to
in
the milieu?
Did you love Serenity when you first watched it, or are you like me where it was a grower?
Because Serenity was the last episode I saw. The last episode I saw for the first time. And so
so you actually watched it in the Fox era order.
Oh,
Remember,
wow.
Yeah, you watched it while it was there. So Train Job aired first.
Yeah. So, you know, Train Job was the first episode I ever saw. And I do agree with you, by the way. It's my 14th favorite episode.
Yeah, it's definitely my least favorite in the series. It feels like it was written in a weekend by writers that I really like, but written in a weekend. And that turns out to be the case. So, are you the only? Did anyone else here watch it while it was airing, or are we all DVD people?
I remember being aware of it, but I didn't see it.
I think I watched maybe 2 episodes while it was originally airing, including the train job. Like we made time to get the train job.
I saw one, I think, but I don't actually remember which one. I just remember, oh, hey, that's why isn't now I can't find it anymore.
I remember seeing trailers. This is when I remember seeing trailers, and the ship was heavily featured. Usually going into warp speed, and being such a Star Trek person, I was like, wow, that's the first time that, like, Babylon 5, to me, the CG I still preferred the models from at that time Next Generation to the full-blown CG. I mean, like,
they couldn't afford the models. That's why.
Right. Well, no, I appreciated that what they were doing. I thought it was very, like, as someone mentioned during the rewatch, very ambitious. But Firefly, I remember seeing the trailers for it, and it was the first time I thought like, oh, that actually looks pretty good. Like I don't know if it's in the realm for, especially on 4x3 CRT television sets. You watch everything now in high definition and everything, unless it's a remake. Looks or a remaster of the original looks same. But I remember it was the first time that CG looked television like mature enough to me that I was like, it piqued my interest, and then I could never find it after that. But Tom, you watched it while it aired. Did you watch the whole series?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Was it?
Did you know the pedigree, or did you deliberately set out to make time for it? And how did people do that without the internet? I don't remember that.
It was on Friday nights. You set your VCR if you're, the way God intended,
Right. Hit TV VCR. Oh, there. Okay, we got it.
No, yeah, because it was, as a huge Buffy and Angel fan, it was a Joss Whedon show.
Yeah.
Of course, we're going to watch it, and yeah, we, everybody in my fan circle, it.
So there's definitely word of mouth.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
It was also making a lot of like front page kind of headlines on some of the sci-fi magazines that my parents were subscribed to. So we made time for the train job because we wanted to see if it was another Star Trek. In our household, we didn't care that it was another Whedon property. We were excited because it was another sci-fi property.
I remember reading about it because reading stuff about it connected to Whedon working on 3 projects at once and stuff like that. But it was easier to find stuff written about it than to actually find the show on TV until it came out on DVD.
Yeah, I think I felt that way too. Where's my jetpack says DVD person. I wonder if it's just so interesting how time played out. So what this was Buffy season 6, Angel season 3 when this was airing, is that right?
Yeah, 2002. So
yeah, I know Joss wasn't around for season 6 of Buffy because he was doing this.
I think the only episode he wrote and directed in season 6 was Once More with Feeling.
This was season 7 because this was 02.
Oh,
I think it was in development during 6 because, of course, there's development time before the actual thing comes up. So a lot of the production people left at the end of 5 to work on the amazing production on Firefly.
Yeah. And there's a reason that in season 7 we see season 7 of Buffy and season 4 of Angel, we see a lot of Firefly actors coming in and doing stuff.
Yeah,
because they just
end of those seasons.
Yeah.
Well, they were available.
Yeah.
And probably under some kind of a contract too, I'd imagine.
I've seen a couple of in interviews with the Buffy cast who said that season 6 was difficult to
All right,
shoot
Nathan Fillion.
Joss wasn't around, especially Sarah Michelle Gellar's talking about how she struggled with the Buffy and Spike stuff because she felt that just Buffy wouldn't do that, and that she wasn't able to go to Joss to talk to him about it, or when she was able to sort of get a hold of him, he would just sort of like fobbed her off a little bit and say, "Oh, it's fine, we'll fix it," and all that stuff, and
It's just interesting to think of how it all played out. I think I'm definitely in the camp of part of what makes it special is that it didn't go on too long.
Yeah.
Didn't have time.
It's easy to be lightning in a bottle when it's a very small bottle.
Mm-hmm.
Right. As it is now, like the fact that the train job to me is the least interesting episode of the series is a pretty remarkable thing. Because the train job's still entertaining. It's still the dialogue still crackles. It's still the fact that this was done on a shoestring schedule compared to the other one which I think is why it's backlit quite a bit more often in a number of the shots to sort of hide set designs and stuff like that. Because it's not as prominent later on.
For me,
but it's still good.
Part of the reason why it took me so long to actually get around to watching it was because I knew it was cancelled, and that just put me off because I thought I can't fall in love with the TV show in one season.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. I mean, whenever I finish Chosen or Not Fade Away, there's always that feeling of like melancholy.
Yeah, and
you know, when you've just binged one of your favorites or something is now over. But on the other hand, there's no she or what's the fish one?
Yeah, or Happy Anniversary, God forbid.
Yeah.
Go fish, thank you.
Or Where the Wild Things Are.
Yeah, although I've heard, of course, I've heard arguments for all of them. One of the most heart-crushing ones was early on in Angel. Someone left a comment saying, "Oh, some of these reviews are really hurting me, and you're almost my favorite episode. She is really important to me." And I went, "Oh."
Yeah, I don't think it's that bad an episode myself. So.
Yeah, well.
I mean, Happy Anniversary is 10 times worse.
Yes, Happy Anniversary is a different level of bad.
See, people would argue though, like Lorne. That's the
that's always, every episode has good stuff in it.
Yeah,
every episode has
Lorne
good stuff.
Lorne and Angel stuff is the good stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, we kind of that was a weird path to go down. But I do think it's interesting. Like Firefly is a certain kind of perfect. Its main imperfection is that, I mean, other than aging, which we talked about the last time, its main imperfection is that there's so little of it. But that's kind of nice, isn't it? There's no first season of Star Trek: The Next Generation. You know,
there's a very fun Firefly Farscape podcast out there from years ago called the Farscape podcast, because creative naming. And there's a whole thing about alternate realities, which we will get to when we get to it in ours. But they made a like a joke episode where where the podcast hosts were jumping to alternative realities, where they were discussing other shows, and one of them was they found themselves in the alternate reality discussing the second season of Firefly.
Yeah, that was originally when I started season 5 of Buffy. I wanted to write every episode guide as though Dawn had been in every one of the seasons up to that point. And then I realized the tremendous amount of work it was going to be, and I gave up on the joke in the next video.
When I watched Buffy with my brother, when Dawn rocked up, he was like, "Who's that?" I'm like, "What do you mean? It's Dawn." He's like, "No." And he just looked at me like I was an idiot. I'm like,
yeah, the fandom gaslighting in all of the YouTube reactor videos comment sections when we get to that episode is just so much fun.
Yeah, but actually editing her into, bad eggs, or especially because the fashions in Buffy evolve.
Oh, wait a minute,
considerably.
Dawn wasn't in Bad Eggs, remember? She because Michelle Trachtenberg had another thing going on at that point.
Yeah,
they wrote her out of that one. So.
But I did want to cut her into some of them. It's just fashion matching. Xander's pants from the end of either the Zeppo or Inca Mummy Girl. The I think they're giant purple corduroy pants.
See, that's a fun extra to do, like maybe I don't know, when you finish the season or something.
Yeah.
In 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years. Don't rush me.
You're so optimistic. You're so optimistic, Sarah.
Yeah. I for some reason I've had it in my mind to start releasing compilation videos of the entire season. Hi, Jen.
Hi, Jen.
Welcome.
Hi, Jen.
You're muted.
For some reason, for some reason I've had it in my head to release compilation videos of the entire seasons, so one video for all of the first season of the episode guide, and then cut in fixes for parts of it.
Are you mad?
Oh, this wouldn't be that much work. But then I was like, why don't I just finish the body first, which I thought was going to be done 2 months ago.
Also, these are fun projects that Jack could work on.
Hey.
Yeah.
Because
okay.
Because
so
Jack
Jen,
is a very talented man, and he could use some. He could share some of his talents with the rest. of us.
Yeah. Shut up.
Jen, we're not going around the horn this time. With I mean, I figure sort of 5 is the last time we just kind of did an open table. What's your background, by the way, there?
For Firefly?
No, the
like
picture
Sailor
in the back
Moon.
of your
Sailor Moon.
Oh, Sailor Moon. Oh, okay. But anyway, I just wanted to give you a chance to chat. We're talking about the train job. We're talking about we're kind of all over the map. It's just an informal hangout with the Fireflies.
While we're on
apparently.
Buffy's fashion stuff, I got the funniest comment. To me, it's the funniest comment on my Buffy fashion video, which like never gets negative comments because I don't really say anything controversial on it. But there was someone who came on who was like, "That's not the point of the show."
You think?
Did I say it was?
You clicked on a.
Also, like Buffy herself would disagree with that comment.
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah. That's maybe that.
Sara, it's very funny when we were doing the rewatch of the train job. Every time the shot comes up, the pan up of that dress, I go, "Oh my god, that dress!" And then there were 2 or 3 comments simultaneously, starting with you, about, "Oh my god, that dress." So I wanted to give you a chance to talk about the dress.
Would you like my firstborn for that dress? Not that that's ever something that'll happen. I don't know. My soul, does it exist? Oh god, that dress.
The dress was blue and black.
You mean yeah, I don't know. She wears red like nobody's business. Says Marina Baccarin must be one of the most beautiful humans to have ever walked this planet.
Yeah.
She is stunning.
Yeah, that is a face that would launch, a million ships.
Cleopatra who?
And Bert the Tough Piles of Ilium.
Yes. And my personal ship is why can't we have more of her and Kylie? Because I love that hair brushing scene.
Yeah, that pan up is art. I mean, obviously I think that is it the only time we see she's got a different outfit in every single episode, I believe.
Pretty much.
So for that dress to be on one episode,
wasn't she in
one
Deadpool?
scene of one episode?
Yeah, she was in Deadpool.
Yeah. But just that insane red satin with the gold, and like it's in the backdrop of a place that poor, and where everything is absolutely utilitarian.
You think it's the I mean, obviously that's thematically the purpose of it in that particular scene. But do you think that's part of why it pops, the contrast of the the staging?
I think that dress would be jaw dropping if she walked into the shindig with it. But I think it would be jaw dropping in almost in any setting whatsoever. But I think when you put it as a foil for that world and the utter shitness of that world, of this glowing jewel of a woman.
It's so commanding too, because I was thinking about in Shindig she would stand out, right? And that's not the purpose of that sequence. The purpose of that sequence is for her to sort of thank you. Sorry.
Just really listening.
There just is an episode.
I really was.
There's an episode called yeah. But there's
I didn't think we're worried about spoilers for this stream.
Jack hasn't seen it, so we're
Jack hasn't watched the series, so it's tough, and it's a rule I set and just broke myself a little bit.
I was actually just reading our chat, so I wasn't hearing a word you were saying.
What I loved about that scene is how it establishes the reputation and importance in the milieu.
Yes.
How everybody is like, in awe of her. They've never been in the presence of a registered companion before, and it's like,
it's interesting too. I feel like that all that stuff is pretty stagey until she arrives. It all feels a little it's not campy, but it's verging on things aren't quite, it doesn't feel lived in quite enough yet to me. It's more playing at being lived in. But when she arrives and the range of the class system is suddenly established, because as much as that whole environment feels sort of like campy and done on the cheap, which the episode was done for, which is why they're wearing armor from the movie. Starship Troopers, thank you, is because like it was a last minute budget call just to pull this particular episode together. When that dress is not last minute campy or otherwise, right?
It looks expensive,
so it's amazing what the introduction of that does to complete the scene and kind of pull everything together.
Yeah, it's one of those wise budget where it's how you spend.
Yeah.
Where if you spend it right, if you know certain things will just
There's a good chance that it was cobbled together on the cheap, but the way it's made and the way it's lit and everything makes it look like a really pretty, really like quality dress.
Well, and I mean, Charisma Carpenter's kind of the same way in Buffy and Angel. I mean, I don't remember her ever being quite decked out to that degree, but Morena Baccarin, did I pronounce her name correctly? To have someone who can make pretty much anything look good and then to put them in something that looks good, is so elevating.
And it wasn't, but none of the costumes, none of her costumes, I think, were done on the sheep. I think they were all, mostly handmade too, I think.
Wow.
If they're not handmade, then they're designer.
Yeah. Jen, tell me a little bit about Train Job for you. So what we have is Tom watched it while airing. So because Fox is gonna Fox, the first episode he saw was the Train Job. Are you a DVD Firefly fan?
Nope, I watched it originally as it aired.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
And I was in the movie theater opening week.
Oh, for the movie. Yeah. So where does the episode land for you in the pantheon of the show?
It's a catch-22 because of Fox was foxing, but
right.
It's an okay episode. The one thing that always tends to confuse me is its book giving like the intro speech of the thing.
Oh, on the I didn't have the previously on. You're talking about Here's How It Was, and isn't that the only one that he does?
Yeah, well, it's not even a Here's How It Was. This is us in this thing. It's like we're summarizing the show. It's not even a Here's because they weren't cutting back. They're just like Star Wars intro voice. Only he's not the character I would do that with. I would have done either Zoe or Mel for that one.
Yeah. But it's also Ron's voice.
I was just about to say that. I think it's because
sweet
he's
dulcet.
just got this really deep, rich, warm voice.
The sweet dulcet tones. So the two of them don't necessarily match up. Jen, had you watched? Were you coming from Buffy and Angel, or were you watching this cold at the time?
I was coming from Buffy and Angel because I started Buffy at the very first episode as it aired.
That's so interesting to me. So the fans that went to Firefly to follow the mutant enemy of it all, and then loved it in the same way, and then Jack and I, who kind of bounced off it because it wasn't Buffy. at the time. It's interesting what we also like the context we all bring.
Hey, I've done that.
Is a little bit different.
I could not watch Bones because David Boreanaz was an angel. It took me like season 4 before I could pick up Bones because David Boreanaz in Bones was not an angel. I did that.
And he's playing Herb Saunders version,
Kind of,
that character, as opposed to Broody McBruderson.
It's Herb Saunders.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's interesting. Well, I don't know. What else do we have about the train job? Jack, you were going to say something earlier. I cut you off. I'm sorry.
I forget what it was, but I do have something to say about Serenity, if I can talk about that for a sec. I really like.
You can talk about whatever you want. It's just the 6 of us.
I love the scene where Mal tells Simon that Kaylee's dead, and then he runs to like the med bay, and then it cuts to them laughing. It's like that man's psychotic, and then it cuts to them laughing.
That episode so embraces that Mal is an asshole.
Yeah. That's the thing. That's where
I mean,
like, he's a dick. Like he's not really in the train job, I don't think.
Kind of.
The playing Inara and Book against each other, such that she's not at the dinner scene. That episode really leans into that he's a dick, and I think that it's textual. I mean, we talk about the things that have aged poorly in the other shows, like not addressing certain things that Xander says and so forth. But it seems to me they were setting up a conversation about Mal that would happen later in the series that never get well.
I don't get. I don't feel like that the show is trying to say he's an asshole and you should love him for it. I don't get that feeling at all. He's charming and funny, but he's a dick and he's meant to be a dick.
He's a flawed anti-hero.
Yeah.
Since Jack doesn't
Go ahead,
know,
Jen.
I can't get into any of it.
Yeah, I almost did the same thing. Yeah.
Okay.
It's explained as the show goes on.
Yeah, I knew that was coming. Yeah, I just have
Everyone grows a bit.
But,
it's just interesting to me just how dark he is in Serenity, and he really isn't in the train job.
No.
That little bit gets omitted contextually. Going forward, it's so interesting. What a weird show.
It's also just like everybody's cracking up, everybody, and it's like,
oh yeah. I hate that scene.
I love it.
I love it. I think it's great. It's hilarious. But...
I hate scenes that are a joke on the audience as well as the character. I think it's not quite a red hit because the music and the slow motion.
Yeah.
I love seeing you two disagree.
I like being manipulated, though.
We disagree all the time.
Yeah, we do. Well, we get into it sometimes too. You should see us.
No, you shouldn't.
Maybe sometimes, not all of the time.
I think the boys are going too far.
No, it's all peace and love here.
Yeah, but I had to do that quote.
And just don't bring up Xander's lie, and everything will be fine. But I also love the line, if I ever kill you, you'll be awake, you'll be facing me, and you'll be armed. I just thought that was a badass line.
Yeah. The show is so well written. I mean, the specifically even as of these 2 episodes, where the train job for some reason for me has a lot more action, it feels more boring than Serenity. But still, the moment-to-moment dialogue is so well written. Yeah. I mean, the Buffy's famous for inventing so much. I mean, it invented Big Bad. You know, it's famous for its language, and Firefly's language is dense. Him saying to Book, she's still a little whimsical in the brain pan. Is such a play. A verbal
I'm thinking
dance.
You weren't overburdened with too much education.
I'm thinking you weren't overburdened with abundance of schooling.
Yes.
Yeah, the moment to moment language in the show is astonishingly good.
I think I also agree with Where's My Jetpack here, who says that creators who troll audiences are okay by me to a point. I think it's okay to a point. There is a certain level where it becomes cheap and unfair, but
you can fuck with me, but don't lie to me.
Yeah,
that makes
sense. And just overdo it, and he doesn't overdo it.
I don't think
he doesn't overdo it. I agree. It's one little. It's essentially a 30-second cut, but it does remind me of Xander's coin from the replacement.
Yeah.
That the camera cuts to and is showing us like he's putting the spell on everyone to mind control them and get his way. And no, it's just a coin by the end of it. But the camera lies to us the way it frames those shots and does all that. And I hate that kind of storytelling bit. And the death scene feels a little bit like it to me.
Okay, that's fair.
But that's just a personal bias. I apologize.
So since we're talking about the train job, I think we got to talk about the whole question of choice, because well, it's us and
I know
Sweden thing, and we have the line about when a man sees this, he's got a choice. I don't see that he does. I think we gotta I love that.
Yeah, it says the man who's about to kick someone into an engine. By the way,
Mal, there's a complicated algebra.
Mal is very complicated.
I do like the scene in Serenity more where he just walks in and shoots the dude in the head. Like I have bigger problems to figure out here. Shut up. Like yeah, but I cackled, didn't I, Ian? I laughed so hard.
Well, what's your take on that, Sara? In the realm of choice, and especially in shows so steeped in existential, absurdist philosophy, but existential.
The way that I hear it is, he's saying to consider himself a man, he only has one option. So
you think it's sort of a masculine perspective?
Well, I think in this case, man is like to think of himself as like a person, an adult kind of thing. I think. If he was female, he would have said woman. I don't think it's necessarily a masculine thing so much as a, who I am as a person. I can't be the person I look in the mirror every day and see and make a different choice other than giving the medicine back.
So you have a choice. You only have a good choice, but you have a choice.
Yeah, there is no good choice because he's gonna suffer the consequences. But I think I'm going to suffer the consequences because there is no way I can look myself in the mirror every day and be the person who took this medicine from these people. I'll do a lot of bad things, but I think we all have that sort of limit where we know that we can't be the person we see ourselves to be and choose a different option.
It isn't it like at some point I should do a super edit of Buffy and Angel, and all the time someone says I didn't have a choice, but you did. Oz and Wild at Heart. She was going to turn into a wolf. I didn't have a choice, but you did. You could have told somebody. They go back to that beat so consistently over and over that to have someone say, I don't believe a man has a choice, is a really interesting puzzler that I never actually completely thought through.
I don't really understand.
Go ahead, Jen.
I think the reason why he in his mind he doesn't have a choice. Remember, okay, Jack, plug your ears.
Jack, earmuffs.
He doesn't have a choice because the person who went and fought in Serenity Valley is the same person he is now. He's just a broken person. His moral compass, his center of being. If you ever watch Guardians of the Galaxy, his center is him. He doesn't have that choice. He's that moral person that stands up for the little guy on the outside of the rim, and he's always going to be that person. So at the end of the day, he personally does not have a choice, but it's a conflict compared to what Joss does with his other shows. Jack, you can put your ears back on.
Okay, Jack.
Come back to us, Jack.
There was no spoilers anyway, so
I never left you, Ian. I was here all along.
What were you gonna say, Jack? And then Josh, I think you had something to say.
I forget what I was gonna say in that moment, but
we were talking about choice and Mal.
Yeah, I was a bit confused about, and I still am really, by what he means when he says I don't have a choice. But I agree with Sara, but I would also add that I think it's also just a way to show us, the audience, that he isn't a complete piece of shit, essentially, you know. To not mince words, you know, it's a way to show us that he might be a dick, but he's not that much of a dick, you know.
Yeah. Josh, what were you gonna say?
So for me, one of the things that sets Mal apart from a lot of other, like a lot of our favorite protagonists, even in Whedon's canon, is that Mal has no problem losing. He is very okay.
Yeah.
Being a loser, and not even like lose the battle to win the war. Mal will lose so that he can retain it himself, and so he doesn't mind losing in this episode in terms of like losing the profit from the sale, losing, now he's made an enemy of Niska, you know, and that kind of thing. So like he losing is an option for him to consider, which means that, you know, the guy is like, you know, people like that, you know, they got to make a choice whether or not they want to win or lose, is kind of the end of that statement. And I was like, no, because I'm pretty okay with it. I already lost. The episode starts by reminding us that he's a loser.
I love this man, everybody. Josh.
Yeah, I love that. That's a wonderful distinction. Yeah. Well, I mean, and the other thing is, though, arguably, of the three protagonists that we're talking about between Buffy, Angel, and Mal's the only one who can afford to lose.
Sure.
Buffy loses,
and
loses.
Buffy did lose a couple of times. In fairness, but to great disaster. But then needed to be. Not for lack of trying, yeah.
She doesn't.
Go ahead, Jack, and then go back to Jen.
Buffy loses in some things, but not in the really big things. Because if she loses the really big things, we all lose, essentially. I mean,
well, she died twice.
Yeah, but she still saved the world, which was her main objective.
A lot.
She won those battles.
How dare you say that without the a lot?
If Buffy was in this position, like, could Buffy ever choose to take the medication?
I don't think she would. Absolutely not. That would go against.
To her, that wouldn't be an option either.
Yeah. So
the choice is presented, like, but that doesn't mean like for you it's an option, because you just
maybe that's
Buffy
why Mal
says
he doesn't have a choice.
Yeah,
Buffy wouldn't have been in this position in the first place.
Hang on, Jen had something. Jen, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Mel's not Buffy or Angel. There's no world-ending stakes for Mel. He lost his he lost his world.
His world ended
when he ended. When he lost the war. All that's left to him is his ship and his very small crew. So he doesn't have the same stakes, which means he can lose. He can take a beating. He can take the consequences of his actions. The whole world isn't going to end if he loses. He puts his friends and himself at risk, which they know what they're getting into, but no one.
Well, I think the line for Mal is home. You know, he lost his home, Serenity Valley, and named the ship Serenity. The ship is now home. Home is on his back. You've got the Ulysses?
Mm-hmm.
Not Ulysses. I'm forgetting my Greek mythology.
He's your muse, and yet you've forgotten the name.
Yeah.
To be fair, Ulysses is
well, he has his home on his back, right? So there's a whole bunch of Greek mythology in
Atlas,
Firefly.
Yeah, Atlas carries the. On his back.
Atlas has the world on his back.
Sisyphus,
anyway,
pushing the rock up the hill.
Sisyphus is the guy pushing the rock up the hill.
I'm confused. I don't know what's going on.
Anyway, I think home is definitely the line for him one way or another. Keeping home, keep flying. Yeah. Get the next job. Keep flying. Keep a home is sort of the structure for me of the stories as I read it. Go ahead, Jack.
I really do love the opening sequence in Serenity with the war and stuff, and specifically, Zoe says that backup isn't coming, and then that young guy that Mal's sort of consoling gets shot and dies, and it's really horrific. Like they really nailed that sort of war-torn horror.
Yeah, we the episode guide video after we watched Train Job, and I had forgotten about all of the St. Crispin's Day speeches that were given for the losing side. And I really love his we've stopped the alliance here, that makes us mighty bit. And then losing. I think that is rarely portrayed and really compelling. I love that. Tom, you were going to say something. Go ahead.
I love in that opening scene, Serenity scene. I actually didn't notice it the first time I watched it. I think it was at some point subsequently. I just for some reason wasn't paying attention enough. But when Mal is, he's there and he's kissing the cross. He's got the cross on. He kisses the cross.
Yeah.
He's got, he's got his faith and then when the battle was lost, and then at the dinner table, when with Book, and he says, "Do you mind if I say grace?" They say, "Oh, if you say it out loud," and
yeah, there's very specific phrasing that he uses. He says, "You're welcome on my ship, preacher. God ain't." Right. Not that God doesn't exist, but that he's angry at God. And I think that's really, really fascinating.
Who said
that it didn't make him an atheist? It made him angry.
My mind is drawing a blank. Who said it's possible to make no mistakes and still lose? It's
Captain Jean-Luc Picard.
There it is.
This is the right room to ask that question, Jack.
You added the captain too. Like it wasn't just Jean-Luc Picard. No,
I just would have said daddy.
Yeah, it makes me think of that line a little bit.
That line reminds me of Angels, which I think suffers a bit in the delivery, but the more I hear it, the more I love it. Which is that he's talking to Wesley in The Prodigal, and he says sometimes the punishment we get for one bad mistake isn't commensurate with the offense. Which I think is in the episode that talks about him being turned and the mistake he made leaving home and his father, and arguably all of this as suffering the result of it is really a gorgeous sentiment in that episode. I love The Prodigal so much.
I'm not laughing at you, Ian.
No, I know. That's my focus. There is I had to look away from that gorgeous mat of hair for a moment in order to be able to finish my sentence. Well, do we have anything else? I'm not trying to cut us off. I just want to make sure everyone has a chance to speak. Jen.
I do. It was a comment you guys made in the chats when you're talking about Mel and companion.
Anara?
Thank you.
Anara. Yeah. Are you talking about the two kids kicking each other in the shins to show that they like each other comment?
It's that one and a couple other ones you were making. I had a friend that called me, so suddenly I had to stop following the stream.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
But, okay. What I was thinking is Bell and Anara. I hate when I blank on names. It's an issue with me.
I'm terrible with names.
It's Pride and Prejudice. It's Lizzie and Darcy. It's very much that. They're both very prideful and both very prejudiced in opposite ways against each other.
Yeah, I see what you're doing. I like it, and especially with the what's the dance episode coming up?
Index.
Yeah, which is heavy on the Austen.
Yes.
I don't know. He doesn't feel like Darcy to me.
He's not
well, the thing that I was gonna say,
it's the chemistry, though. He's not a Darcy. I'll fully admit that he's not a Darcy. For one, he doesn't spend the next year learning from his mistakes and trying to correct his problems he caused. He's not a Darcy.
I heard that was in season 2. Yeah, I'm thinking Beatrice and Benedict.
Yes, I think there's a bit of Beatrice and Benedict, although I still think he's too much of a dick. But that is because we don't get season 2, so we don't get to see him grow.
Benedict was an ass.
Yes, Benedict was an ass, but Beatrice was an equally kind of an ass. So that dynamic
that's
works
true.
better.
Anara is not. Yeah, Beatrice and Benedict are more mirrors of each other, and Nara and Mal are not.
We actually
but they do
see him grow. We see him grow with
Mal.
River. That's where you see him grow. You see him grow with River from the start of his when he meets River to the movie. That's the relationship you see him grow with. It's not Inara. You see him grow with River.
I think maybe they don't let Inara be enough of an ass.
Let's I agree with you. Let's avoid spoilers though for where the relationship goes any farther than this. We'll talk more about it soon.
I've seen Pride and Prejudice, but I still have no idea what you guys are talking about. that
Beatrice and Benedict does much ado about nothing.
All of our spoilers will be
which we should definitely show you sometime.
I think I've seen Much Ado, haven't I? No, we were gonna watch it, but then we didn't we?
No, we watched it.
You're a very pretty goldfish.
Much Ado is the prototype romantic comedy.
I struggle with Shakespearean language. I find it hard to absorb, but Pride and Prejudice, it numbed my brain so much I couldn't.
We watched the OG BBC one remaster.
Put on
what it was, but I just.
Jen, what's your recommended one?
The movie. I'm blanking on the girl that played her. The
Keira Knightley.
Keira Knightley, yeah, that one.
Okay.
And if you're going to do Much Ado About Nothing with Shakespeare Speak, the David Tennant one, it's actually on YouTube, or at least it was on YouTube. That's a fun one.
David Tennant was in a Pride and Prejudice.
Much Ado About Nothing with Catherine Tate.
Oh, Much Ado. We just watched his Hamlet, and he was the best part of it by a long shot. I thought he was terrific. I mean, I've seen Hamlet so many times. Seeing new takes is amazing.
I love the BBC B&P, but you have to be kind of devoted and know the story already. I think the movie condenses it to a more digestible one. They both have their virtues. Josh and I have gone back and forth on this before.
Yeah, the BBC one felt like a million years long for me.
There's a lot of dancing. I just remember a lot of dancing.
Adaptation versus,
it felt like watching Lawrence of Arabia again. Sorry, Josh.
Yeah, well, it's 05 was an adaptation. The BBC treated the book like the script.
Well, no, the BBC one does. They didn't quite. There's more to the adaptation than just using the book as a script, because they did some interesting stuff with the men's, but it is a J Knight creation. It is meant for fans.
I want to watch you guys argue now. This is fun.
I am actually.
Jack, watch the Keira Knightley one. It will make you understand it better.
Yeah, I think it's more accessible for you. I think.
Okay, yeah, that's the one where
he's got to watch It's a Wonderful Life first.
Oh God, I need to watch everything. Jesus Christ. I can't watch Firefly, actually. Let's be honest. That should be my priority.
We'll start with Firefly. That's what we're here for. Josh, go ahead.
I was just going to say that I realize I came at the series differently than a lot of folks in the group, because I came at it, like I said, looking for another sci-fi rather than another Whedon. But I also,
maybe that's the big difference, right?
Yeah, especially looking at
I wasn't looking for a Whedon. I was looking for a Buffy, which is there's a slight difference there.
Looking especially at the Train Job versus Serenity, I actually kind of think that Fox thought they had a Star Trek on their hands as well.
Yes, I think it emphasized the space stuff quite a bit. It's a tough sell. I mean, a densely written dialogue-driven space cowboy show.
But
if you show the cowboy stuff, it looks like a Western. If you show the space stuff, it looks like Star Trek or the new Babylon 5.
So they brought it together.
But visually, they don't combine.
But Fox thought they could also treat it like Star Trek, the original series, and order a second pilot.
Yeah.
Because the original series had The Cage, which was produced in 64.
The Cage, yeah.
It had Where No Man Was Gone Before, which was produced in 65. But then it even aired a third pilot, The Man Trap, which wasn't produced until 66. And the rest is, history from there. But like with Serenity versus the Train Job, Fox's changes that you highlighted that they asked for were almost the same ones that were asked for of Roddenberry way back when.
There's definitely a comparison. It is interesting to me, though, the number of beats that the train job hits from Serenity. There's a checklist for what a pilot needs to establish, and down to the engine kick or just waltzing on the ship and shooting the other guy immediately without a word.
But you know what?
Which are two beats I love. And they don't feel duplicated, even though they are... they exist for similar purposes in establishing Mal's character. Go ahead, Josh.
What's interesting to me, though, is that in the train job, they swapped out the Reavers for the Men in Blue.
Yeah.
Like they threaded in a different foreshadowy antagonist.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the thing that I've heard about is part of the reason the this was in the video, the death slot occurred was because Fox was trying to fill the recently vacated X-Files slot, and they were looking for another hit like that. And the 2x2 Hands of Blue men look like G-men from the X-Files.
Yeah, they do. They look like Chris Carter.
You know? So it's fascinating everything they were trying to accomplish with this, and yet it still feels like Firefly. I mean, that's the thing about all of these shows is they're so incredibly tropey and heavy on very, very familiar starting places, but feel subversive and completely unique.
Yeah,
in and of themselves.
I'll say that like only after 2 episodes of course, but it doesn't feel like anything else I've seen really. It doesn't.
It's very. It's so. Like it's so its own thing.
Yeah,
like, it is so its own thing.
Like I've seen,
even though you can see 100 other things.
Yeah, I've seen elements of it elsewhere, heaps, but not. I haven't seen this recipe before, which is nice.
Yeah, it's very unique. I'm going to go ahead and end it right there. I apologize for a bit of the abrupt ending, but something has just come up that I need to take care of. So there's a question in the chat. Are we going to meet in 2 weeks? Well, that would be Christmas Eve. So no, we're definitely not meeting.
It's a wonderful
we're definitely not meeting in 2 weeks. So 2 weeks from now would be the 24th. The other thing is Jack is traveling soon.
I'll be.
So the next 1 or 2 may be Jack will either join on his phone as a participant, or and Lonnie will probably be here. Hopefully, if I
don't get COVID for a third time, but we'll see.
That would be good.
Yeah.
Why don't you aim for that?
Yeah, I'll try. I'll see what I can do. But yeah,
you have a good choice.
I do.
But you have a choice.
Yeah, a good choice and a better choice. I'll go for the better choice.
So that'll be the 7th of January. We'll be back. Jack will be joining on his tablet.
Oh, my birthday.
But well, I hope to see you here. Again, I apologize for ending abruptly. And I mean, Lord help me, the body will be done before then. Let's say,
your face as you said.
I'm actually editing. This has been probably the biggest nightmare video I've had.
You'll say that again at some point. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, wait till we get to the musical.
The last one I remember being this challenging was "Fool for Love,"
which was a mammoth of a video.
That was an incredibly technical one. Into the Woods was easy. It was just that was a whole bunch of frustration and rage. All right, I appreciate you guys. We'll see you in a month.
All right.
Have a good holiday. Have a good break.
Enjoy your holidays. Thank you.
Everyone. Bye.
Good night.
Cheers, everyone. Thank you, everyone in chat. Bye.